Liu Xiaojun is probably the most famous weightlifter, most well-known weightlifter of the 21st century. And we currently have unparalleled access into his training and his comeback, which is a tremendous privilege, and a huge thank you to Yilin from Squat Shot Journalist and from Liu Xiaojun Barbell for posting these, giving us access to it. I'm just going to dive right in now and explain what I'm doing. What I want to do is take a look at the progress that he's made from when he started posting these comeback videos all the way to where he is now. We've had 9 weeks of this, and I've been enjoying watching these every single week. I haven't watched week 9, so I don't know exactly how he's going to do, what kind of shape he's in right now, but just having access to this is amazing. Now, for those of you who don't know, Liu took basically, I mean, look at him there. He looked bigger when he was a 69 back in 2004 he competed as a 69. That was his first sort of international competition. He did junior world championships and he won the 69s. Yeah, he took a year off basically after winning Tokyo. He's now a 3-time Olympic champion. Here he is with 110 on these deficit snatch deadlifts, which he likes to do with a slightly rounded thoracic spine. Lumbar still pretty extended, but he took that year off. He's now a 3-time Olympic champion, and he decided, I'm going to make a run for the Paris Olympic Games. Now, in Paris, if he wins, he becomes the first and only weightlifter to ever win 4 Olympic Games. The third one, by the way, the 2016, he won due to a retroactive pop from Nijat Rahimov. So that's 80, 110, 30, 50. This is 150 kilos. So this is kind of the base level. This is where he's starting at. 150 for a somewhat grindy triple. The kind of weight that previously in top shape he was probably tripling in the snatch. And so he's kind of just decided to let everyone know, I'm going to go for it. No one expected me to do it. I'm 39 years of age, and I'm going to try and become the best weightlifter ever. And I think right now he's sort of, I feel comfortable to say he's joined that group of lifters like Kaki Kakishvili, maybe not quite as, but like he's up there with Kaki and Naeem, Dimas certainly. Yeah, he's way up there in the group. Halil Mutlu as one of the greatest of all time. Lasher, of course, is on his way to join that group, but Liu Xiaojun in 2009 became a world champion. 2009, after, he almost dropped out. What's this? This is 90 kilos for his first snatches. So this is the baseline. He actually almost dropped out of the sport around it was between 2005 and 2009. He basically got injured, thought that he was never going to be able to lift again. This was after going to the Youth World Championships, Junior World Championships, which he won. And his coach basically said, you need to go meet this other guy who is his current coach. And his other coach, basically, there he is now, basically said, you can do this. We can rehabilitate you, and you can be a great weightlifter. And apparently Liu had said that before that, he believed that there was no chance he would ever clean and jerk 200 kilos, put that kind of weight over his head. And then he went to the World Championships in 2009, and he hit 204, I think, 174 world record, 204, 378 total, world record total, at his first competition. And then what's crazy is 10 years later in 2019, he goes and he does it again. 171, 207. It's exact same total, 10 years apart. We've gone up now, that's 170. So within a week, obviously he didn't really gain 20 kilos of strength in a week, but the muscle memory that he has, having been at such a high level, really helps with the speed with which he can get back to those numbers, as those of you who've taken time off will know. That's week 1. Here we have week 9. So this I have not yet seen. We can already tell he's looking a little bit thicker, looking much more like the Liu Xiaojun that we all know and love. And he's declared that he's going to be competing as a 73 kilo lifter. He announced it on his Liu Xiaojun Instagram account. Not sure if he made that post or someone on the team did, probably someone on the team. But they said that he decided he was going to make a comeback and he's going to go 73 because 81 is no longer an Olympic category. So he's either got to go to 89 or 73. If he goes up to 89, it's a waste because he's got to go up against Tian Tao. Although it's a waist down because he's got to go up against Shi Ziyong. But he's got to go up against Tian Tao, Carlos Nassar, Antonino Pizzolato. And to ask a lifter like this, who is such a seasoned professional, so old at this point, there's 100. if it's to ask, in fact, I just want to watch this. This is 120 with a really slow off the ground. Someone actually, by the way, I'll get back to the weight categories. Someone sent a message in saying, can you talk about why he misses so much? They talk about that, for example, as a miss, and a lot of the catches where he catches it and pauses for a second and dropping it, those aren't misses. That's just him making the lift and then not needing to stand it up, because the difficulty in standing up a snatch is incredibly low compared to the difficulty of pulling it straight and catching it in the right place. That's the hard part, and then you just don't stand up with it. See, that 160 is not far off being high enough for him to snatch. Obviously, the speed that he pulls under on those, the bar is right around sternum level. That's a supra nip pull, I believe is the technical term for that. In fact, that's coming in right here, right? That's right at the neck at that point. So yeah, he's not missing those. But he's got to go up to 89, and he's got to go against those guys. And to ask a lifter like Lou, who's been doing it for so long, if you ask him, you've got to do the biggest lifts of your career, I just think that's a bit too much. Whereas to say to him something like, I'm just going to pause that there because I want to talk about those. Whereas to say something like, you're going to cut back down and you're going to have to hit 95% of your best lifts, that seems a little bit more doable. Just to say to him, you don't have to snatch 180, but we might need you to snatch 165. Or you don't have to do 215, 220, but you might have to do 195. I just feel like that seems a lot more realistic for an older lifter like Lou, who's slower to recover now by his own admittance. I think that's the way to do it. The reason I pause this and why I'm now skipping back is because someone asked me why he has such bad form, I think was the term they used, on his bodybuilding. So Team China, and this is something that I know from having spoken to Lou and other athletes in Team China and just from interviews from Chinese athletes, they treat their bodybuilding a little bit differently. So when the way that he does his rows, where he's doing that proper like lawnmower start, where he's really pulling himself in, there's a lot of external rotation at the hip and at the thoracic. There's a lot of even extension and flexion of the hip going into these rows. It's because they're not trying to isolate their lat. They're trying to teach their body to use their lat as part of a greater system of how to create as much, I guess, force and power through the kinetic chain, starting with the larger, greater force but slower speed muscle groups like the quads, coming through to essentially this final bit there. It's kind of akin to someone throwing, where they would have the twist and then the arm and then finally the flick of the wrist. They don't want to train the flick of the wrist. They're training everything else through a flick of the wrist style lift, if you know what I mean. So that's what he's doing when he does those rows. And here you can see him using his whole body here. They're really just trying to use as much weight as possible. I mean, 115 kilos is unbelievable he probably weighs 73 kilos right now. So speaking of weighing 73 kilos, he's chosen to cut down. So that means he's going to go up against Xiaojun. Xiaojun is a formidable weightlifter to go against. I would rather be going against Tian Tao than Xiaojun. Xiaojun is undefeated internationally. He's a 2015, 18, 19. He's a 3-time world champion. He's a 2-time Olympic champion, multiple-time world record holder. He's extremely untouchable right now in the 73 kilo category, and Lou's going to try and do it and trying to go up against him. So Team China is only going to be able to send 3 weightlifters on the men's side to the Olympic Games, and I'd be shocked if they didn't send a 73, because if you're going to send a 73, you're either sending Xiaojun, which is the right thing to do, or if you are sending Lou, that must mean he's even better than Xiaojun. 200 kilos there, can't quite make it, but I mean, big progress from that first week. It's very cool to see this, and then more upper body stuff. And again, it's the whole like using your body to lift these weights. He doesn't want to use his triceps in isolation, because in weightlifting you never do use the triceps in isolation. And this is just the Chinese school of thought. There are a lot of countries in weightlifting who do separate things out. You see the Armenians with a bar, and they do tricep extensions, and there's no movement here. They're not pushing their elbows forward. They're just purely extending at the elbow. Looks like Lou's had a trim there. He's looking pretty sharp. Very nice. And just look at him. He's looking so much more thick now. He's looking way more in shape. And he's going to be at the World Championships, we believe. We don't actually know that, but I would have thought, considering he needs to get back into competition. In fact, it's not so much him, it's more the philosophy of Team China. Last Olympics, you know, they made sure to go to every competition in case something bad happened. They couldn't go to other competitions, and it paid off with the pandemic. And so I imagine they're going to do the same thing again. They're just going to send anyone who's potentially an Olympic hopeful. I imagine they'll. He's looking a bit like Thomas Shelby there, looking a bit peaky. This is 120, so I imagine he'll be there. Will he be a 73? Probably. Will he be an 81? Because he's not going to have cut down yet, and the 81s is going to be less competitive, and he's going to try and become a world champ again? Maybe. But he'd have to go up against Marin Robu, who's going to be able to do 65, 200. Or is he going to go at 67? I mean, how big is Lou right now? Honestly, how big is Lou? I don't know. Let me go back. I need to see some of these clean and jerks. 140. Looks great. So yeah, so that's when people say, is he missing? He's not missing. That's a make. But I mean, what sort of shape is Lou going to be in at this World Championships? Let's say he's a 73. He has gotten back to 140 in the snatch, I think, so far. He did that in week 8. So he's gone from 90 to 140. His clean and jerks, yeah, he just did 140 there. Presumably he can do around 170 right now. I would have thought if he goes to the World Championships, his 220, he's going to want to be able to do around the 155, 190 range to be in with a medal. Xiaojun, if he's in shape, if they're both in the same category, which would be epic. There's Chen Lijun doing his other things. If they're both at 73, which is crazy, the fact that we're going to see those two battle it out during this quad at 73. It's just insane. It's the battle that we always wanted to see. You'd have thought, anyway, sorry, Xiaojun, if he's in shape, is going to be doing 65, 95 every day of the week. If we're lucky, we're going to see it either a 70 or a 200, a 170 or a 200 from Xiaojun. But he's going to be around that 65, 95 range. He just always is. Maybe Xiaojun will go up and then give Lou the free pass at the 73 world title. If she's not there at 73, I think we would see Lou push into the... I think he would need 55, 90 to win. Who are the other 73s? Rahmat and Abdullah from Indonesia. If he cuts down to 73, then I think he will do 160. If he makes 3 for 3, 160-ish. I generally think he could get a world record on the clean and jerk. There's a nice 130 from Lou. Tian's looking thick. I mean, Rahmat did 198, weighing 76 kilos or 75 kilos at the Asian Championships with ease. So I really would have thought that Rahmat's going to be able to do something around the high 90s again at 73, close to 60 as well. Then you've also got Rizky, his teammate, who might also be in at 63. He's capable of doing close to 60, and we know he can do mid-90s on a good day. He didn't have a great day at the Asian Championships, but so I think Lou would actually I don't know if he could win. I think that eventually, when he's back in full shape, he can do brilliantly well. I'm sure he can snatch low to mid 60s and get into the low 90s. I don't see Lou doing 170. In fact, he's just not. I'm just going to say it right now. Lou's not going to snatch 170 at 73. He did 174 at 81. Of course, he did 177 at 77 as well, but that was back in the day. He's not going to be able to drop 8 kilos in body weight and snatch 4 kilos less. It's just not going to happen. So I can see him doing 62.92, and I think that 62.92 will medal when everybody's in great shape, but I don't think it will win. It's not going to beat Xiaojun. But you just don't know. You can't count him out. This man has got the experience that no one else in weightlifting has right now. He is probably the most highly respected weightlifter in the sport right now. I think we could probably say that with absolute confidence. Even, I think we can probably say that. Here's 210. How's this going to move? See, his strength is still way down. Way down. I mean, he was doing 270, a little bit quicker than that, into 2019 World Championships. So we still got a long way to go in the strength. You're going to want to see him probably pushing up towards a 250 mark in the back squat. I mean, Xiaojun's front squat in 255, so Lou's going to have to get there at least in the back squat, and then he has got a slightly superior technique, I would say. He gets more out of his strength than Xiaojun does. She's technique is fantastic as well. I'm not saying it isn't, but I think Lu's going to be right around those numbers. But I think this World Championships is going to be phenomenal. This will be for a hold, presumably. Yeah, I think actually a lot of... I got another question which was to do with Lu's... Why is he doing so much strength work? Why is he not doing so much technical stuff? He said to me when I interviewed him that he didn't spend that much time needing to do too much technical stuff because he just spent so much time in it in the past. But he also said the same thing about his strength. He said he built it up so much in the past that it wasn't too much of a consideration for him later on in his career. I think right now he's at a point where his technical movement is so high that it can only be... There's a thing that in the field of skill acquisition, essentially the more proficient you get in the skill, the closer in specificity you have to get to training it to see any improvement. And so for Lu Xiaojun, he's so good at the snatch, him doing hang snatch threes is probably only going to increase his capacity to do more training and to improve his hang snatch rather than increase his actual snatch from the floor. And so to increase and improve his snatch, he basically needs to push his snatch pretty heavy more frequently. This is what you see with more elite lifters. This is what you see as an athlete moves through the Russian triangle of training from when they start out with a huge base and they peak. You see it with China, which is essentially a evolution of the Soviet style training anyway. And so Lu's at that point now where he has to basically hit heavier singles. And then in the strength department, that tends to be what Chinese weightlifters do. They tend to squat a couple times a week. They go basically to a 1 rep max once a week, and then they do a bunch of doubles or triples or even fours, so basically a volume day, another day a week, and that's kind of it. And then they do a ton of heavy pulls, stiff leg deadlifts, deficit deadlifts from the hip, just finishing this tiny, the explosive portion, just a lot of strength work. And so I think that's kind of the phase that he's in. And so much of Lu's training as well, like strength is not just about muscular growth, it's also about neural efficiency. And you can, when someone is untrained, they get strong very quickly with almost no visible increase in muscle size. They're just becoming neurally more efficient. And Lu's training that. They're just training to be better at firing at full capacity when he does his 1 rep max squats and pulls and snatches. And then they do all of this higher rep sets of 10s, rows, dips, pull downs, just to try and increase the muscle mass, though it's not the primary focus. So that's Lu Xiaojun. The journey back is extremely exciting. I cannot wait to see what happens with him at the World Championships. I almost don't care what categories he's in. Of course, I'd love to see him battle against Xiaojun, but I just want to see him compete. That's the main thing. So anyway, I'll do another one of these maybe just before the World Championships, just so we can check in again and see what kind of shape he's in. I wonder if Lu Xiaojun Barbell is going to start reducing the posting of some of his top lifts, or at least just hide them. Not if he snatches 160 in 4 weeks time, are they really going to show that right before the World Championships? I don't know. Maybe they will, maybe they won't, but I'll do another review anyway. Based off his squats and his pulls, I think we'll be able to work out pretty sure what he's actually probably capable of doing right now. Okay guys, that's it from me. New belts coming out in the next couple of weeks. We have leather belts and we have these bad boys in black and in white with some blue. So keep your eye out for those. Make sure you subscribe and like for more, and I'll see you all soon.